Hey guys, Blue100 back again with another video. And once again, I'm here with my sister for another review. So we just watched Deadpool and Wolverine. So this movie takes place right after the end of Deadpool 2. After saving his friends and loved ones, he decides to give up being a superhero and decides to live a normal life and become a car salesman. Then the TVA shows up at his door. They pull Wade from his quiet life and set him on a mission to save his universe,
while also teaming up with Wolverine.
This is also the movie fans are hoping will save the MCU. Our thoughts on the movie? It's probably one of the best MCU movies we've seen in a while.
Yeah.
And don't worry, we won't get into spoilers yet because at the time we're recording this video, the movie just came out. So we'll talk about the spoilers in a separate video.
Yeah, because then this video will end up being too long.
Yeah, just like with the No Way Home review. So we decided to just do it basically part by part. I was so entertained and smiling throughout this entire movie. This is probably the first Marvel movie or MCU movie I enjoyed since No Way Home. And in my opinion, it's as entertaining as Spider-Man No Way Home.
But because our expectations were so low, like especially mine, we weren't as anxious when it started as how we were when we watched No Way Home.
Now before getting into our initial thoughts, we're just going to quickly recap the movies we watched in preparation for this movie. Just like with No Way Home, we did watch most of the Fox X-Men movies along with the 2 Deadpool movies and 3 Wolverine movies, as well as a few of the Marvel Fox movies and 2 episodes of the Loki series. So as I mentioned in our trailer reactions, we were hoping this movie would be the better version of Multiverse of Madness.
Since we pretty much knew this movie would be bringing back characters like the X-Men, Fantastic Four, Daredevil, and Elektra because of Jennifer Garner. She was being like so obvious.
Yeah, that's what we thought Multiverse of Madness was going to be because of, you know, all of these cameos and whatnot, but that was not the case.
Yeah, well, it wasn't really Sam Raimi's fault. He had a lot of pressure put on him since it did come right after No Way Home. People did expect a movie titled Multiverse of Madness to have a bunch of people from different multiverses, from different movies, and a lot of people expected that from him. But, like, it wasn't really his fault. Because I think it was filmed like right after that movie, so you can't really blame him. Also the budget, which they kind of made a joke of in this movie, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. Now after watching this movie, I can definitely say it's a lot better than Multiverse of Madness in terms of cameos.
Yeah, this movie was like really focused on the cameos pretty much. Like everyone even says so. Like everyone's talking about the cameos.
Yeah, it's basically what they did with Spider-Man No Way Home with their cameos, but
yeah, it didn't spread throughout the entire movie, but they had a pretty good chunk in the movie.
Yeah, except for one character, but we'll talk about that in the spoilers section. But let's go ahead and go through the things that we really liked in the movie first. So first off, the return of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine after 7 to 8 years. So after hearing the news that Hugh Jackman would be coming back in this movie as Wolverine, we were excited. Yeah. Because after what they did in Logan,
we were pretty much upset when they killed him and Professor X off in Logan. Yeah. Especially me, like, you know, being an X-Men fan, I don't like, even though they killed off Professor X in Last Stand, I don't like how they completely murdered him. Probably more brutal than how Jean killed him in Last Stand. So I was just really happy that Hugh Jackman was back as Wolverine in this movie.
Yeah, it's the same thing when Toby came back in No Way Home and when Patrick Stewart came back in Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah. Although they are variants, I'm just glad that they're back as those characters.
And same thing with the action we really liked. Yeah. Much like with No Way Home, it probably has the best action in the Deadpool trilogy, but unlike with No Way Home, where most of the fights were CG, the fights in this one were actually, well, practical and very well choreographed.
They were still using CG in some fights, but they weren't used as much compared to the other MCU movies.
Yeah, like for instance, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, or even
No Way Home.
Yeah, or Multiverse of Madness, or the Marvels, just
etc.
Yeah, I'm really glad with this movie they use more like outdoor scenery and whatnot as compared to those movies. Like I understand like the last few movies were filmed during COVID and they were very limited for like space and whatnot, but we prefer practical sets over like green screen or blue screen sets. Yeah, so I'm really glad what they did with this movie. Another thing we really liked is that it's just as funny as the first 2. Although the first 2 we didn't really, you know, laugh too hard, this one we laughed our asses off in the theater. Yeah. Especially the opening sequence, which we'll get to soon, because we don't really want to spoil what happens in it, but
it has a lot of millennial comedy, which relates a lot to us. Although he's not exactly a millennial, he's like a zillennial, but still, it still really relates to us.
Yeah, but this is probably the best opening sequence in a superhero movie I've seen in years.
Ever. Like, the comedy that they show in the MCU, which barely gets even a tickle out of me, this, just with that simple montage, I was laughing throughout the entire thing.
Yeah.
It was that hilarious.
Yeah,
like,
even our parents were laughing beside us during that sequence.
Almost the entire theater was laughing throughout the entire thing.
But unfortunately, almost majority of the movie, I would say, or even half of the movie, it was kind of dead, like dead quiet. As compared to like No Way Home and Multiverse of Madness, there wasn't a lot of like reactions.
But I think mostly because the people in our theater were mostly people who were just new here to Canada. So they weren't really comfortable in, you know, they weren't really used to the loud reactions that you hear in the theater like how we do here. Like, it wasn't as explosive or like loud as it was when we watched No Way Home, unfortunately, but it was still pretty good. Like, a lot of people still reacted when they had to react. So I'm pretty happy with that.
Now for the things we didn't really like in this movie. There isn't a lot we didn't like in this movie as compared to other reviewers on YouTube, but there's only like probably
just a few things that we have to nitpick about.
First things off is the overuse of Marvel Jesus.
It would have been good if they said it like the first time, like we saw in the trailer, but they overused it, and there was a lot of blasphemous stuff in the beginning that like annoyed me.
I just found it really stupid and cringy. It wasn't even funny.
So, like, to the people who think that, oh, it's not so bad, as a Catholic, as someone who's Christian and Catholic, like, for us, it's really offensive.
Yeah, when they overuse it, I'm just like, okay, it got to the point where just, like, you didn't need to overuse that line again and again and again and again.
And what they showed, like, early on into, like, the beginning of the movie, it was a little too much.
Yeah. Another thing we didn't really like as much was the story. It was a bit weak compared to the other two, in my opinion.
Like, I do like how they bonded throughout the entire movie. As Sean Levy said, that this movie is all about the friendship and the bromance between Wolverine and Deadpool. Like, the companionship and the relationship that they develop with each other in this movie. It was good.
Yeah, it was we really enjoyed that part.
But the story, I wouldn't say it's weak. I would say that it's a little different between the first two. Obviously, just like it's pretty much like with Tom Holland's Spider-Man movies.
That's how I would compare it with these movies.
Yeah, it has a different kind of vibe to it, but I did enjoy it.
Oh yeah. And lastly, for the things we didn't really like, there is a fight in the middle of the movie where there was a bit too much shaky cam.
Yeah, you can't really see what was going on. Like, you could see, but like, it kind of, like, maybe because I'm getting old, but like, it kind of gave me a headache. It's like, what's going on? What's happening?
Who's fighting who?
Yeah, who's fighting who? But like, you could tell, but like, too much shaky cam.
Yeah, like, it didn't get to the point where like the frickin' final battle was like at night and you can barely see shit. I don't like when movies have too much shaky cam. Like, to me, it's unnecessary. Unless if it's like a POV shot where the character's running. But I just don't like it how they did it in this movie with the middle fight.
Like, I know it's usually a necessity to do shaky cam for action sequences to make it look more entertaining and more action-filled. But it's like, when you do it too much, when you do it too vigorously, then it's a little bit of an eyesore. Yeah,
and since we did watch this movie in 3D, unfortunately, it was a bit of an eyesore. But we did manage to, watch the movie without no problems. Unlike with No Way Home, where they show literally the first 3 minutes and then it stopped and then they had to rewind it like 5 times.
Yeah, good thing we didn't see any spoilers for that. But.
Yeah. Now, in regards to spoilers, that'll be in the next part. Because just like with No Way Home, we have much to say about this movie.
Yeah.
But let us know in the comments down below, what are your guys' thoughts on Deadpool and Wolverine? Did you like it? Did you think it was okay? Or did you think this was the movie that did not save the MCU and it was another flop for the MCU? And as usual, make sure you guys check out my sister's YouTube channel and her social media pages in the description down below. So until next time, guys, I'll see you all in the next video, or in this case, the spoiler section for Deadpool and Wolverine. Peace.